Bonjour tout le monde.
Hello, everyone.
A
few weeks ago, Canadians have sent us a message to all parliamentarians in this election who are expecting us to work together on the big issues that preoccupies them, whether it's the growth of the economy in a way to help the middle class, whether it's the fight against climatic changes, whether it is public safety. We will always do this to help Canadians from sea to sea. And today we're announcing a cabinet that is positioned to do exactly that. We are finding out how much we have lots of work to do before us and to deliver for Canadians on their expectations or high expectations towards themselves and the future. And it's exactly the team that we have to do that.
To be able to get down to work the way Canadians asked us to in this last election, to pull together the country, to focus on issues of economic growth for the middle class, to fight climate change, and to keep Canadians and their communities safe. That is our focus, and this is the team to do that. As we work hard for Canadians every single day, we will work hand in hand with all parties in the House, ensuring that we can move forward on priorities that Canadians have and respond to the challenges and opportunities facing us as a country and indeed as a world. It was pointed out to me that today is also National Child Day, which means it's a reminder that everything we do as a government every day needs to focus squarely on the well-being of our children and our grandchildren as we build a better world every day. Merci beaucoup d'être ici aujourd'hui. Je suis content de prendre vos questions.
Thank you for being here with us, and I'm happy to take your questions.
Minister Salima Shivji, CBC News. Can you tell us concretely what the choices that you made in building this cabinet are meant to address the challenges that you're facing as a minority government, obviously with 10 ministers from Quebec in this group with the rising Bloc Québécois, as well as the tensions in the West?
I think we recognize that this Parliament will be one in which collaboration, in which working with a broad range of parties and indeed stakeholders across the country is going to be incredibly important. And the team that we've assembled here is a team that is going to focus on working hard every single day for Canadians, and I'm extremely excited about getting to work with them.
How do you do that on climate change when some of the other parties are pushing for higher targets than your emission targets right now in terms of working together on a central issue for your government? How is that even possible?
I think we reflected and we saw very clearly in this last election that Canadians want action on climate change, and Canadians also want to see us continuing to grow the economy. And having a broad range of voices within Cabinet and indeed across Parliament will allow us all to work together in ways that build a stronger and brighter future for us all, while at the same time ensuring the jobs we need today and the economic growth we need tomorrow.
Li Mingzhou, New Time Dynasty TV. Ms. Trudeau, when you formed the last government, there seemed to be an asserted effort to build a closer relationship with China. However, with the arrest of Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor last year, the communist regime seemed to be resorting to hostage diplomacy when dealing with Canada. So according to the recent reports and polls, the vast majority of Canadians seem to have a negative view on China or the regime. When realizing that it doesn't respect international norms, doesn't respect basic human rights and rule of law. So my question is, under the current situation, are you or is the government going to revisit and reshape the government's China policy with a new understanding of the regime and the situation?
We have always understood two things about China. Obviously, China is a growing global economy that has an impact on countries around the world with its trade dealings. And there are opportunities for Canadian businesses, Canadian exporters, and Canadian investors to do well with better relations, economic relations with China. At the same time, Canadians expect us to stand up for our values and our rights, and we are going to do that. We have condemned the arbitrary detention of Michael Spavor and Michael Kovrig, and we're continuing to endeavor to demonstrate that we will stand up for our interests as a country. We will engage with the world in a constructive and positive way, and we will at the same time ensure that we're looking for opportunities for Canadians.
So how is our government going to give more support, to the Hong Kong people under such situation with 300,000, Canadians living in Hong Kong?
As you know, there are 300,000 Canadians living in Hong Kong, and it is an issue of concern for us all. We have repeatedly called upon China to respect the terms of the one country, two systems principles. We will continue to call for de-escalation and an end to violence and true dialogue that will lead to a more peaceful situation.
Bonjour, M. Trudeau, Mathieu Goyer de Radio-Canada. Qu'est-ce qui vous a finalement convaincu de nommer un lieutenant du Québec alors qu'en 2015, vous jugez que c'était pas nécessaire?
Quebec, while in 2015 you said it was not necessary. I think it's important to hear people, and Quebecers have clearly said that even with a record number for years of Quebecers within a government with over 40 MPs. They wanted to have a stronger voice, and so that's why we're happy with the 35 MPs from Quebec. We will have also Pablo Rodriguez, who will be our Quebec lieutenant, that will work. Working on my side, I remain a Prime Minister that is Quebecer, and I will always be committed on the issues that are important for Quebec and all of Canada, but to underline also Quebec lieutenant that will have this strong contact point with the province to make sure that we continue to work in the right way on the priorities of Quebec, and as well as we work on the priorities for all of the country.
I've recognized that we have an opportunity and a need to ensure a clearer, stronger voice amongst our great team of MPs from Quebec and cabinet ministers from Quebec to ensure that the messages that we're hearing from and the engagement with Quebecers is done in the strongest possible way. I continue to be a proud Quebecer, but I will be very much engaged on issues of national importance as well as issues facing various provinces. And having Pablo at my side on engaging with Quebec will be a very useful thing for us all.
Concrètement, quels pouvoirs vont être délégués à Mme Freeland à titre de vice-première ministre, un poste qu'on n'a pas vu au pays depuis 2006?
Vice Prime Minister, we haven't seen this since 2006. I acknowledge that we need to have a strong team, a very strong team to work with the provinces, to work on issues that touch us Canadians from sea to sea. And the job that I was able to do with Chrystia on NAFTA, on the negotiations that were extremely difficult with the Americans, I've underlined how much we work well together and how we can deliver on great issues, including, particularly, energy and the environment, in our commitments with Canadians from sea to sea. So I'm really happy to be able to work with Chrystia on those issues and to have her as a Vice Prime Minister.
I'm very much looking forward to having Chrystia Freeland as my Deputy Prime Minister. She is someone with whom I work very, very closely and with great success on renegotiating the North American Free Trade Agreement with the challenges of the American administration. And we know that as we move forward on issues that matter right across the country, like energy and environment and other large issues, we're going to have to engage in a strong and positive way with governments, different orders of government right across the country. And I'm very much looking forward to doing that with Chrystia by my side.
Michel Lamarche, TVA. Monsieur Trudeau, est-ce que vous avez nommé Monsieur Guilbeault à Patrimoine canadien pour éviter de soulever la colère dans l'Ouest canadien, l'Alberta,
raise any angriness in the western provinces? People know really well that all our ministers, including Mr. Guilbeault, will have lots to say on all the topics around the table of the Council of Ministers. And Stephen has demonstrated a level of commitment both on climatic changes and on poverty, on issues, on social issues that will be part of this, part of our strong voices around the table. But I know that he will be a minister that he will be exceptional at Heritage Canada, and the job that he will done from sea to sea to reflect our values and our vision for Canadian identity, and will be extremely important. Well, let me go back to the question because you didn't really answer it. In your mind, to name him as Minister of the Environment would have created more division within the Federation than others would have seen this in a negative eye? The decision that I have taken to assemble and to set up this cabinet that is really strong have been done based on who will be the best person to work on the big issues for Canadians. And that's the only reflection that I had, and I'm really happy to have a team that is so strong in every position that we've named.
David Aiken, Global News. Good afternoon, Prime Minister. Just coming back to the role of Deputy Prime Minister, it was your father who appointed, I think, the first ever Deputy PM, Alan McEachen. Seen Don Mazinkowski, Anne McClellan. Give me your sense of the role in your administration for this particular position. More Mazinkowski, more McEachen, more McClellan. Can you give me a sense of where Minister Freeland will be there? I see
it being very much a Freelandish role. Christia and I have worked very closely on some of the biggest files facing Canada and the world, but particularly Canada and the United States. And our ability to work well together on these issues that quite frankly, touch national unity, touch energy and environment, touch relations with all provinces and all regions of this country, is going to be an extremely important thing at a time where we see some very different perspectives across the country that need to be brought together. And I'm very excited about having her as both a strong intergovernmental affairs minister and as my Deputy Prime Minister.
And again, looking back sort of through history, it was again, when your father was Prime Minister in 1980, the last time Alberta and Saskatchewan did not have an elected representative in cabinet. And as you've assembled cabinet today, you've named the only cabinet minister from the prairies, from Winnipeg, Mr. Vandel, as a Minister of Northern Affairs. Can you speak a little more about how the views of Alberta and Saskatchewan particularly, but more broadly the West, interior BC, are going to be represented when this group gets together to talk about things?
I am very much looking forward to ensuring that one of the things we do as a cabinet is continue to engage with stakeholders and leaders right across the country. That's what I've done over the past weeks in engaging with everyone from small town mayors to significant leaders in industry and politics. We will continue to engage with representatives and leaders right across the country. I'm very pleased to have given a specific task to Jim Carr to be my special representative for the prairies. He will be able to focus entirely on that relationship, engage with the prairies in a strong and present way, while at the same time sitting on a cabinet committee, at the same time as he faces significant health challenges in which we wish him all the very best. It is something that we have chosen to make sure that we have a strong voice reporting directly to me and to cabinet on the concerns faced by the prairies, and we will continue to work every day as an active group of ministers who will engage right across the country on all issues that matter right across the country. Okay. J'ai été content de pouvoir nommer Jim Carr
to name Jim Carr as
mon représentant
spécial, my representative, my special representative for the prairies, and his responsibility will be to talk to us about what's going on in the prairies and be our voice in Saskatchewan, Alberta, and Manitoba, and on very precise issues. And effectively, he's facing some challenges for his health, but regarding his health, but I think it's a role that he can do brilliantly and in an important fashion. And all our ministers will have the responsibility in all the issues and files to be connected on the ground with leaders, with representatives, and with business people in the different communities across Western Canada, across the country, to make sure that we are listening to the preoccupations of the people. Mr. Trudeau, many ecologists feel that they were there was a you've talked about the experience of Stephen Guilbeault as a militant ecologist minister, but do you feel it's a treason? How do you feel about them saying you instrumentalized Mr. Guilbeault? All our cabinet members will work very strongly on the important issue that is climatic changes and the fight against climate change. And we have many experts, including Mr. Guilbeault, on this issue within our cabinet. The reality is that it is a file that touches almost everything that the government will do. And I'm looking forward to work with him on these issues. And I'm really happy to have him as a Minister of Canadian Heritage. Another topic, you have once again an equal, you have gender equality within the cabinet, but not many of those women had important or central or senior positions within the cabinet or weighty positions, but even 5 of those women ministers have to work with another department that is led by a man. Isn't it facade feminism that you're showing today? If we look at what we did in the last 4 years to bring the women's right forth and to create economic opportunities for women across the country and across the world, they will understand that the job that we have been doing as an equal cabinet is further than the roles that were given, although those roles are important, and we will continue to demonstrate that a government that has equality at the heart of every equal opportunities for women at the heart of what all we're doing will continue to be on our path to success for all Canadians.
We recognize that there is a tremendous amount we have done over the past 4 years in advancing women's rights, in advancing opportunities, in moving forward towards greater economic growth for this country by empowering women. We recognize the challenges around defending women's rights. We recognize that there's always lots more work to do, and I'm pleased to have once again a cabinet that is the reflection of Canada's diversity and parity, and we will continue to work on big issues as a team and as individuals.
Bonjour, M. Trudeau. Mélanie Marquis de la Presse. Comment vous a-t-on convaincu de nommer Mme Freeland vice-première ministre? D'où vient cette idée-là?
Madame Freeland as Vice Prime Minister, where does the idea come from? The reality is that I've been working really well with Christian on issues that are extremely important for the country, and that for a while. And there hasn't been anything as important as a renegotiation of NAFTA in our first mandate, and I've found out by working side by side with Christian is that we work really well together, and to have her in a position of a strength position domestically on the intergovernmental issues, and to have her as my Vice Prime Minister, it will be good for national unity. It will be good for the approach that we are taking to gather the country to create economic growth and fight climatic changes at the same time. The Commons will be back on December 5th on the speech throne. Can you give us an idea of the first measures that you will take, or the first bills you will table, including with the NAFTA accord? Will it come before Christmas? The first bill that we will come up with will be a reduction of income taxes for the middle class, and that's what we promised. And it was the first bill in 2015, and that's exactly what we will do once again, because we know that to lower the income tax for the middle class, it helps a lot of people. And we will work also on other issues, and we are expecting to see what will happen in the negotiations with the Republicans and Democrats in the U.S. to see how we can ratify the new NAFTA.
Hi, it's Annie Bergeron-Oliver with CTV National News. I'm just wondering if you have any concerns that appointing a natural resources minister from Newfoundland will fuel greater sentiments in the West that Ottawa is out of touch with their needs.
I am incredibly proud to have Seamus O'Regan, a strong Newfoundlander, as our Natural Resources Minister. There are Newfoundlanders who work right across the country in natural resources, and Newfoundland and Labrador itself is a place that is not just oil producing, but also known for its natural resources. And I know that he, along with our entire cabinet, is going to do a great job on addressing issues of concern to all regions of the country, including the West.
You have 10 ministers from Quebec. I'm wondering what type of message you're trying to send to voters in Quebec after what many consider a lackluster performance in the last election.
We are responding to the caucus we were given. We very much would have liked to have had ministers from the West elected. Certainly, we will all miss Amarjeet Sohi and Ralph Goodale, who were extremely strong voices for the West around the cabinet table. But Canadians sent us an incredible team from which we were able to assemble this strong cabinet that we're going to work very hard for every region of the country on. Nous, évidemment, regrettons que nous n'avons pas des gens comme Ralph Goodale et Amarjeet Sohi pour représenter les provinces de l'Ouest au sein de les provinces des Prairies au sein de notre cabinet. Mais en même temps, nous reconnaissons que nous avons des Canadiens très forts de tous les coins du pays pour assembler une équipe qui va travailler à tous les jours pour bien servir les Canadiens.
Every day, strongly.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister. Christy Kirkup with the Globe and Mail. Will Canada follow the U.S. with a bill to sanction Hong Kong and China for human rights abuses? And what is your plan for Canadian citizens in Hong Kong?
We continue to be extremely concerned with the 300,000 Canadians living in Hong Kong. We are monitoring the situation closely, calling for a de-escalation of violence and respect of the rule of law and human rights. We will, of course, look at what our international partners are doing, and I look forward to sitting down with our new Minister of Foreign Affairs, François-Philippe Champagne, to talk about the next steps that Canada can take to ensure that we're promoting our values and creating opportunities for Canadians right around the world.
Marika Walsh with the Globe and Mail. Given that you are going to be implementing a net zero future by 2050, how do you see the future of the oil sands?
We recognize that the people who work in the oil sands have been providing energy and resources to Canada for many decades in a way that has created tremendous prosperity for this country. The world is looking at reducing its carbon emissions, and as we move towards a lower carbon economy, it's going to be important to lean on the kind of innovation and technology that Albertans and Saskatchewanians and people right across the country have been contributing to creating and delivering for the benefit of not just the industry and the jobs it creates, but all Canadians. We recognize we need to move towards a lower carbon economy, but we also see Alberta and Saskatchewan as an essential element in moving forward in a way that brings all Canadians along.
Bonjour, Catherine Lévesque, la presse canadienne. Vous avez nommé Mark Miller au service aux Autochtones parce qu'il a pris le Mohawk et s'intéresse aussi à ces dossiers-là depuis le dernier mandat. Pourquoi cette même logique ne s'est pas été utilisée pour M. Guilbeault?
Les décisions qu'on prend par rapport au cabinet sont complexes et on choisit les bonnes personnes pour les bons endroits. Le ministre du Patrimoine canadien a une responsabilité énorme de quelqu'un qui va pouvoir porter ses valeurs et travailler avec cette identité canadienne qui nous est très chère et qui reflète énormément une préoccupation par rapport à l'environnement, par rapport à la lutte contre la pauvreté, par rapport à cette connexion que Stephen a su très bien développer tout au long de sa carrière. Et j'ai très hâte de travailler avec lui en tant que ministre fort du patrimoine canadien.
C'était pas la bonne personne à l'environnement, juste pour
Je suis très content d'avoir 36 ministres qui vont être très forts sur l'environnement.
Including Stephen.
Ryan Tomlinson, National Post. Given the sentiment in the West and your position with Jim Carr, how integral is he going to be in cabinet, and how much is he going to be able to do given his health?
The first priority, of course, is ensuring that Jim is focused on his health. But at the same time, he was very clear to me and very clear to everyone that being able to continue to be a strong voice for this government in the West and a strong voice to this government from the West is going to be a really important thing for him and for all of us. I'm very excited about having him as our special advisor. I'm excited about sitting around the cabinet table with him on various cabinet committees and continuing to hear the great insights he has on how we ensure that what we're doing as a government reflects the challenges, opportunities, and priorities of the entire country.
Do you think it's enough, though, to represent Alberta and Saskatchewan with one MP from Winnipeg?
We build a cabinet based on the MPs sent to Ottawa to be part of our government. I am very excited about this great cabinet that we've built. We will continue to work very hard to listen to Canadians from coast to coast to coast and work for the betterment of all Canadians. That's what Canadians expected. That's what Canadians asked us to do in the last election, and I look forward to working hard and collaborating with all parties in the House. Merci beaucoup tout le monde.